Hello everyone, welcome back to Legacy Larder. I'm Andy, and now we're going to make a pie with the pie crust that we made in the last episode. That was really tasty, so if you haven't watched that, be sure to check that out because it's a pretty amazing pie crust. So I've got a little rhubarb patch in the back, and so today we're going to use celery's punk rock cousin, rhubarb, to make some rhubarb pie with our awesome pie crust. Let's get these fixed up and ready to bake. This recipe is really pretty simple. It asks for you to peel and chop into small pieces 2 cups of rhubarb per pie. So we're going to make 2 pies. I'm going to give these a quick peeling so we can have the some of the stringiness off of them, and we will get them chopped up, and we should end up with a nice succulent rhubarb pie. Alright, let's chop these up and see where we're at. We need 2 cups per pie. So we'll give these a quick whackety smack. Batch number 1. And look at that, perfecto. It's right on 2 cups. Okay, now what we do is take our pie crust that we blind baked in the previous episode and dump in our 2 cups of rhubarb, like so. Now we add in cornstarch, salt, and sugar. So we've got a tablespoon of cornstarch. Sprinkle that nicely over everything. This is going to be our thickener, so we don't end up with a rhubarb soup in a pie crust. And so we get all that cornstarch in there. People can also use tapioca, like small pearl probably. I've never tried that one. I want to try that at some point. A 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Sprinkle that over. And 1 cup of sugar. That is a lot of sugar. Diabetics beware. Eat responsibly. Okay, so we've got everything in here. We're going to cover this up with another pie crust, which we have prepared earlier. So we have top and bottom. And I'm not as good as Martha at making the edges here, but we'll do what we can. It should look kind of like a pie by the time we're all done here. Now, sometimes you would see this egg washed, like egg and sugar or something. There's no instruction in the recipe for that. I want to follow it exact so we can see what we're actually doing here, not ad-libbing. But I am going to put a couple of little holes, steam holes in here, make it prettier, and also let any steam escape from the rhubarb as that's cooking. So here's one. We're going to make one more, and we'll get these in the oven. All right, batch number 2 of the rhubarb peeling. Rhubarb has this stringy peel on it, just like celery does, and it can get stuck in your teeth and just, it's like nature's dental floss. Except it's a floss that breaks and gets stuck in your teeth and makes you kind of look funny to all your pals. So it's best to peel it off so you have just the tender meat of the rhubarb left over. And that makes for a tastier dessert when you're making something with rhubarb. Or more easily edible. You don't have to fight with it to eat it. You can just get down to business. If you don't have a rhubarb patch in your backyard, why not? You don't have to really do anything with them. They grow completely on their own, and they're almost impossible to kill. Like this one, this little patch that I got it as a gift, like one root, I think, in a gift, in a bucket, a 5-gallon pail, from someone, and I was lazy and I didn't take it out of the pail, and I hardly ever watered it. I kind of put it under the eave of the roof so it would get water sometimes when it rained. But I was just pretty much a jerk with this rhubarb. And then one day I was like, you know what? Hey, I'm gonna see if that rhubarb is still alive, and I'm gonna plant that rhubarb. And I went and took a look, and lo and behold, there was still a little bit of a life to it. So I thought, well, I'll give it a few days, I'll water it a bit and actually pay attention to it. So I did that. And when I took that pail, when I dumped it out of the pail, I broke what was that one rhubarb plant that I received into 9 separate rhubarb plants. And I put those in their own little plot with some good potting soil. And now I've got a forest of rhubarb that I can hit whenever I want all summer long for any kind of rhubarb dessert. And there are a lot of them if you look them up. So it's a simple fruit. Well, I don't know if it's a fruit, it's probably a vegetable. But it's a simple thing that you can grow right in your backyard. You don't have to do anything to it. And if you have somebody coming over, you are a cake mix and a few minutes of chopping away from a tasty dessert at any moment. So it's a handy thing to have around. And plus, if you have kids, grandkids, anything like that ripping around, they love this stuff because it's so sour, and kids love that. It's like having a patch of atomic warheads growing in your backyard, so they can enjoy those. Give each other sour contests. That's what we used to do as kids. I think it was just more of a game to see if we could poison each other, but we would see who could eat a more sour or horrible tasting thing and not lose their cool when they were eating it. But they probably there were shady reasons for that game in the first place, so maybe you don't want to recommend that one to any kids that you have around. All right, we're almost there. A couple more sticks and we should have it. Two cups, okay. Now we'll get our other pie crust. Okay, here's our other pie crust, and we'll get in our 2 cups of rhubarb. And again, we are going to add to that rhubarb 1 tablespoon of cornstarch. Spread it out nice so you don't have one thick spot and a whole bunch of liquidy spots. You could, I suppose, also mix this up all together in a big bowl and then put it into the crust. That's not how the recipe is written, so I'm doing it according to the book. our 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and our 1 cup of sugar. Alright, again, move this down a bit so everything will cook in nicely. Our top crust. This is also, like in the book, it's referred to as a paste. Like I had to go back, I had to look around a bit to find out what they were talking about, because it said add top paste, and the recipe was on page 25. I didn't see any recipe for paste on page 25 at all. But then so I started reading everything on page 25, and I saw this pastry crust referred to as paste. So I guess that was the word back in 1920. You may notice that this pie does not look as beautiful, perhaps, as other television pies. Well, you know what? This isn't the Pretty Pie channel. This is Legacy Larder, and this is hard to work with. So, anybody who eats this gets what they gets. And for your own kitchen, if you give someone a piece of pie and they look at that pie and they say, you know what, this pie is just shaped wrong, or it's just simply too ugly for me to eat, then take that pie away from that person. They don't deserve your pie. Take it away, give it to somebody else, eat it yourself in front of them, but don't give them any more pie if they can't act any better than that. Okay, pie number 2. I think it's beautiful. So let's get these in the oven. We're gonna cook these for about a half an hour, but the instruction we have is to cook them in a mild oven. Actually, we don't even get that. We're just instructed to bake it for a half an hour. So I've got oven preheated to 300 right now. I think I'm gonna up that to 350, and we'll put them in for 30 minutes and see what they look like. I'll keep an eye on the top crust, and once this looks like it's browned up nicely and golden, then we'll call that a win, take it out, and see what it tastes like. Here we go. We are going to call it at 1 hour. Alright, these are beautiful. That smells so good. Alright, here are 2 rhubarb pies. We cooked 1 hour at 350 degrees. Here's our finished product. I was hoping the top would get a little bit more brown than it did. It didn't seem to cook very well, but I didn't put any egg wash or sugar on top, and that probably made a difference. That would make the top brown up a little bit nicer. They smell great. They look like they were made by a guy who doesn't normally make pies. So let's cut into one and see what it looks like on the inside. Okay, here's our pie. Let's cut a bit open here and see what the inside looks like. These just came out of the oven, so they're still mighty hot. Should probably let these cool a bit. But I can't wait. I just want to have a little sliver. So that rhubarb really got juicy in there. If we let this sit for a bit, then we'd have better luck of cornstarch making everything solid. But you can see, look at this crust. Look at how flaky that is. That is, you don't get that with regular all-purpose flour in a bread crust. That's that cake flour, or pastry flour if you happen to have that. I just had cake flour, which has less protein and gluten formation than even the pastry flour, so this is even more flaky than that would be. But this is amazing. Okay, let's see if I can nurture this piece out of here without causing too much of a mess. just really want to taste the filling. Okay, there we are. Rhubarb. Sugar is thick, so once it's cool, this would be super thick once it's cool. It's already thickening a bit and it's still plenty warm. The crust is super flaky and nice. The bottom is cooked because we did that blind baking with the beans and stuff in the other video, so watch that if you want to learn how to do that. And it's very pretty. It's very pretty. So let me give it a taste here and see if I can burn my face off. Let's give this a taste and see how we did. It's thickening up. The cornstarch is thickening up with the sugars would get thick too just from the baking. So I don't know. I don't think there's very much pectin in rhubarb. But if you were to put some lemon zest or orange zest in with this, there's a lot of pectin in citrus fruits, and that would help. That could act as a natural thickener too. If you don't like cornstarch, or if somebody has a reaction to that, you could use a natural thickener like pectin. So let's give it a taste. If this was the only reason you had a rhubarb patch in your backyard, it'd be a good enough reason. This is really, really good. It's very simple. It's very bright. Peeling the rhubarb was definitely a good idea. I'd never done that before when making rhubarb upside down cakes or rhubarb pie. That was worth the effort, and this is really, 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 really good. That pie crust, man. Very flaky, very tasty, and if you could do a better job at making it look prettier than I did, if you have say granite countertops so everything's nice and cool, probably could have chilled the shortening, or if you use butter instead of shortening, make sure it's super cold and cut into little cubes so that it doesn't, it'll be a little bit easier to work with the pastry dough. But even with this, even looking a little bit, it's still pretty fantastic. So yeah, this is one to have. Very simple. Yep, make rhubarb pie. Whoever you bring it to will love you for it. If you sit down and eat it yourself, you'll love yourself for it. This has been rhubarb pie, made with rhubarb right from the backyard. Very simple recipe using a pie crust that we made in a previous video. If you want to give this a try, I highly recommend it. You can make this with lots of other fruits that you want. We'll be trying out other ones, I'm sure, as time goes on. If you enjoy this recipe, if you enjoyed this video, if you enjoyed the pie crust video or recipe, please like the channel, subscribe, or like the video, subscribe to the channel. Much appreciated. It helps me out, and it lets me know that you're enjoying what you're watching, so I can keep making good videos for you. My name is Andy. This is Legacy Larder. Be good to each other, and I hope to see you all again real soon.